concept of a luxury four-wheel drive is nothing new these days. They've been around for about a decade. Pretty successful too. But one thing you haven't been able to get many of is a compact luxury off-roader. In fact, there's pretty much only been one, and it's this, the BMW X3. It's a reasonable car, it drives pretty well, it's sort of like a condensed version of the X5, exactly the same principle. Decent engine, little 4-cylinder diesel in this one, doesn't sound like much, but it does actually go alright, and crucially, doesn't use much fuel, less than most small cars. And of course, it's smaller, much easier to handle around town. So you'd think others would have cottoned on by now. Well, actually, they have. And some of them come from brands you may not expect. The first major contender comes from Land Rover, in the form of the second generation Freelander. Now, the Freelander was originally a car that competed with the likes of the Toyota RAV4, but with this all-new model, Land Rover's selling more on premium rather than price. From there, we head all the way to Sweden, with one of the sexiest Volvos ever, the all-new XC60. And of course, it just would not be a BMW comparison test without an arch rival somewhere in the mix. And this time, it comes from Audi, in the form of the new Q5. The Freelander may be a similar price, but it's playing a slightly different game, mainly because it focuses more on off-road rather than on-road, so it's not quite as sharp as the others through the corners, but makes up for it with things like comfort. The engine, again, goes alright. You can hear that it's a diesel, but that's fine because it's not too obtrusive. But there's some really clever things in the Freelander, things that I love, make it a lot easier to live with. You sit quite high in a really Land Rover sort of way, great commanding view, and these funky mirrors that fold in when you park, even things like this, an armrest. It's all about comfort, a little bit of luxury right in the car. And of course, you can't forget the tricky off-road system. Controls all the car's electronics and helps you better tackle those obstacles. Now here's another area the Freelander has a small but significant advantage. Full-size spare tyre. Now that is absolutely crucial if you're planning to do any sort of off-road work. Q5 just shows how far four-wheel drives have come when it comes to making them feel like normal road cars. The Q5 is by far the most car-like of all these ones in the way it steers, brakes and handles, and the way it goes around corners is surprisingly capable and loads of fun. But there is one substantial negative, and it comes down to the ride. You see, all they've basically done is jacked it up, firmed up the suspension to stop it leaning, and that means you bounce around a lot. Stylish and fun to drive. They are two things that you would not have even thought of associating with a Volvo only a few years ago. But they're two of the standouts of the XC60. On top of that, Volvo's done a fantastic job with the interior, making it not only functional, really easy to use, but also amazingly stylish, and some great finishes like metal finishes and the wood grain that really bring it to life. And the engine, 2.4 litre diesel, it does use a little bit more fuel than the others, but you also get a bit more in the way of performance. So, all up, surprising package.
So which is best, and where should your $70,000 go? Well, each of these cars is impressive in its own way, but each also has its shortcomings. The Volvo's interior is fantastic, but it loses points for less than impressive handling and a noisy diesel engine. The Land Rover, while great off-road and with a certain rugged charm, just doesn't feel quite as polished as the others. Audi's Q5 is a seriously impressive contender, with brilliant quality and attention to detail and fantastic on-road manners, apart from that bumpy ride, which leaves the BMW. Now, it doesn't stand out in any single aspect, but it does manage a brilliant blend of value, practicality and driving competence to make it our surprise winner.